She was complicated. She was a very good lady. You know, I grew up with my mom she was a single mom. She worked very hard to take care of me, and I was the only child. But my mom had a lot of mental health problems. She really struggled with a lot of things, and she never took care of them. And so sometimes our relationship was really strained because of that. But I always knew that she loved me, no matter what. Every year we typically had a New Year's Eve party. And so of course we were planning because it was the day before New Year's Eve. And we had made food, we had cleaned the house, and it was about 10:30, 11 o'clock and we were going to bed. And we didn't think anything with the phone ringing. And it was my stepdad's granddaughters. So it was an odd phone call, and they said, "We needed to let you know that something happened at your mom's house. There was an intruder. And all we know is that someone has been shot."
Becky Everton's mom, Angela Heyman, heard a noise under the carport of her Baton Rouge home. When she went to check it out, she was met by a 15-year-old gun-toting juvenile, Xavier Cade. Investigators believe Cade got spooked and shot Heyman. She died at the scene. Her husband, who heard the commotion, grabbed a gun and fired back, shooting Cade in the abdomen. The juvenile shooter went to the hospital, and when he was released a week later, he was booked into this juvenile detention facility, but not for long. Our national investigative team uncovered court records typically kept secret involving Cade's juvenile criminal history. That file shows Cade spent 6 months in juvenile lockup following the killing until his parents posted bond in July 2020.
We were just appalled that they send this child home that had committed murder and they just let him go home with no conditions on his release. He just went home.
The following month, Cade's mom texted his social worker saying he disappeared. He's outfitted with an ankle monitor, but that didn't stop his criminal behavior. Months after getting that monitor, he stole a car in December of 2020. 2 months passed and more trouble. He removed his ankle bracelet and disappeared again. In May, prosecutors petitioned to get his bond revoked after Cade gets caught trying to buy a gun. Prosecutors say the ankle monitor tracking him was dead. Law enforcement sent him back to juvenile detention. But Cade had no plans of staying locked up. In October, he and 4 other juveniles violently attacked 3 guards and escaped in one of the guards' vehicles.
Like, this is crazy. What is happening here? And why is it this person who murdered not adequately being held? There's a problem here.
Cade's mother eventually turned him back in. In January of 2022, he was moved to an adult jail and later pled guilty to manslaughter, getting 25 years for killing Angela Heyman. Everton's issues are not unique. It's happened in Virginia.
This was a very elaborate plan. It first started with choking out a prison guard and then going on to cutting a hole in the fence, and it ended with fleeing in a getaway car.
Tennessee.
At the Juvenile Detention Center, we had some youth escape from the Juvenile Detention Center.
Mississippi.
So it may seem quiet now here at the Henley Young Patton Juvenile Detention Center, but earlier, behind me, there was chaos inside of that facility.
And Hawaii.
The escape happened about 10:45 Wednesday morning at the Hawaii Youth Correctional Facility.
Our team uncovered there are gaps with how escapes are tracked, both pre- and post-conviction. The Interstate Compact for Juveniles is a law that regulates juveniles between states. It logs escapes only if juveniles escape from jail and cross state lines. Since 2021, 89 juveniles have escaped secure facilities in America and were found in other states. But that's a low number because if they escape and don't cross state lines, that number is not tracked. Another entity, the Federal Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention, told us it does not track escapes. So we filed a series of requests with all 50 states trying to get their escape data. More than half responded. Most escapes happen from state-run juvenile facilities. Of those from 2021 to 2023, the data shows Louisiana reported 61 total, followed by Michigan, Iowa, Oregon, and Nevada.
If you don't have proper staffing and coverage with the kids, that's going to be a problem.
Part of the problem with juveniles escaping is the need for incarceration at all. Many juveniles reoffend and some of their crimes escalate. That problem facing the nation is familiar to Mark Stewart in Missouri. Stewart helped launch the Missouri model for juvenile justice in the 1970s, which has been widely praised and copied around the nation, particularly because the rate of reincarceration is much lower using this method.
There was buy-in from the legislators, the judges, all those people, and again, they knew it worked.
The model focuses on a therapeutic approach by turning jails and prisons into more group-like settings instead of cells. A trip to Missouri reveals their facilities resemble schools rather than prisons. There's no barbed wire and a welcoming sign. Missouri's model has been hailed a shining success. In recent years, their state's data indicates about 1/4 of juveniles reoffend after they are released, compared to states like Texas and Arizona, where that number is doubled. But the push to implement something like what's been successful in Missouri has also been wrought with challenges in some other states. Louisiana tried copying the Missouri model, but has encountered challenges in recent years.
So it's kind of like a stool without having all 4 legs on it. If you do 1 or 2 or even 3, you're not going to get it done. So a lot of times people have the right intent, but they don't know what to do or how to do it.
Obviously, the therapeutic model has not caught up with the level of criminal action that's happening.
For Everton, she felt re-traumatized each time Cade committed new crimes with no way to control him. She wrote to her state lawmakers demanding a fix, but not much has been done. She's hoping another family doesn't experience her pain, as she recognizes transforming a complex juvenile system is impossible overnight.
Our situation is a very prime example of why this is not working. I can tell you that something has to change. It has to change.